So, sup you chuckle folks, it's your boy Dark Raku here with the What If Issei became the Void Man, or also known as WD Gaster. So, yeah, sup you chuckle fucks, it's really been a while. It's been like over, I wouldn't say like a week. I mean, it's been over like 7 days, I think so, the last time uploading. Yeah. I really have to go back into uploading, and yeah. Now, I'm out of school because I managed to kind of, I am graduated entirely. I finished everything. But the problem is, I'm not going to get my fucking whatever bullshit that I needed. We'll see, the little card, what was that card thing? That wasn't diploma. It was, what was it called? Fuck, I can't think. But pretty much, I'm not going to get that until November. Yeah, that's like fucking 8 months from now, or much more. I don't know why they just. Yeah, the fucking trade school fucking sucks. I went to. It's fucking sketchy as shit half the time. Okay, but not the point. Let me begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me begin. So after this, I should probably start watching Bleach, but not the point. But yeah, now I had this idea came to mind when what's it called? That one guy asked for the Maharaga. What if Issei was literally Maharaga? Like, he can transform into Maharaga or whatever. And then he just keeps saying that Issei should become, like, blind and, like, what's it called? Become a similar role, similar to Deku, which Deku, fuck you. I don't give a damn. I hate Deku, okay? Fuck off. I know some people be like, what? Why you hate Deku? Because he's a bitch. What else do I have to say? I know Dante's gonna probably watch this and say, really? Really? No, I hate him. Fuck you. It's just like that fucking time you made me fucking go. Never mind. So yeah, there was supposed to be a video uploaded also, I think, not yesterday, but on Tuesday. Not Tuesday, Wednesday, about me and Dante going to Bleach, and then that shit went wild. Yeah, I had to delete that video. What was it? It was literally just a Bleach what if, and the fucking, I don't know where Dante went. All I know that I literally went to my bathroom just to go watch Bleach, because mostly I didn't have headphones at that time to kind of like not listen to Dante's rambling. But yeah, I just went to the fucking bathroom watching Bleach. Came back, had the perfect idea to troll Dante and just fucking destroy everyone's eardrums. But the problem is, since I deleted that video, no one's eardrums got destroyed, which is sad. I wonder if Dante and I would do another what if, so I can just boom. But yeah, other than that, let me begin this what if. Sorry for rambling on, but yeah. But we go into mostly, well, this what if. Wait. So, yeah, let me begin this what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me begin. So, we begin into mostly Issei kind of, well, finding out one thing about his parents. After the adoption of Azia, mostly his parents decide to abandon him. They literally kick him out of the house, saying, well, bye, good luck in living on your own, and yeah. Truly just abandon him. Like, they straight up just abandoned Issei. Which Issei went into such, well, despair, sadness, loss, and other things, that mostly all that Issei felt in his heart and soul was nothing but just a betrayment, like darkness in his body. This is where, well, when he was feeling all that emotions, his power was kind of erupting from his body, from the fact that most of his parents literally just kicked him out of the house. This is where, well, he went to the park, and this is where, well, he didn't really think of anything else from the fact that he lived 17 years of his life with his parents, and they just kicked him out. Just because they got Azia. But this is where, when Issei kind of was erupting with power, something happens. A glitch in the Matrix, you could say. Mostly it was like a glitch in real life. A glitch that kind of sent him into a different world. Send him into a different, not world entirely, dimension? Probably. But this place was called, well, the Unstable Void. Also known as, yeah, the Void. Or the Abyss. You get the point. Pretty much, When Issei was in this place, he started deforming thanks to the fact that he now had the connection similar to that of, well, WD Gaster's kind of having the connection with the void. He would have deformed similar to WD Gaster, but entirely he managed to construct his body back to normal, but change somewhat. His body turned like this, pretty much his outfit, and yeah, pretty much his eyes turned into like a bluish kind of color, which entirely it's supposed to be like a lightish crystallized purple, but don't worry about it. But this is where, well, he has kind of blackish brownish hair. This is where, well, he has this kind of like hoodie jacket aura, kind of similar to that of the Abyss, but yeah, or just a hoodie, not the hoodie, the aura. What the fuck am I going on? But yeah. But with Issei kind of, well, mostly just in this place of darkness and abyss, his body started changing. His sacred gear actually changed. Instead of being called the boosted gear, it was called... Sorry, wait, I'm just stretching. It was called the Void Touch boosted gear. So, of course, everything has changed throughout his body. But we go into mostly a time skip of mostly Issei returning back to normal life. You see here, Issei looks the same, even though he's supposed to change, but who really knows. But when Issei came back, Ria still had to fight against Riser. The whole kind of thing would still happen. But mostly after Issei with the boosted gear managed to defeat Riser. Of course, after managing to defeat Riser, this where, well, mostly Riser was defeated, Rias was free, and of course Rias, after being free, she actually discarded Issei. The only thing she wanted Issei for was not for a potential mostly member for the ORC, but instead just to use him for the boosted gear to fight against Riser. Other than that, she doesn't need him no more. She literally just abandoned him also. This, well, suppose Issei was heartbroken, shattered, and everything. Would everything turn back the same? Just the fact that he was able to now be able to go into darkness? Well, not entirely. This Issei was only a clone. Yeah, mostly Issei managed to make a hardened copy clone, because this clone literally disappears into the shadow darkness to meet up with the original. The original is right now is in the abyss into the darkness. But yeah. With Issei in, well, mostly Issei right now just being kind of swallowed by the abyss and darkness, that's where, well, the original would have mostly opened his eyes. This is where, well, just to see the original. This is where, well, he reached out his hand towards the original, and the original right now kind of did the exact same thing. When both hands decide to kind of collide, like a handshake kind of touch, this is where, well, the original manages to kind of absorb the kind of clone. This is where the clone had all the knowledge and everything what happened in the outside world. When Issei kind of now figured out what happened, all he understood was, I see. So that's what I was only used for. Interesting. This is where Issei says, so that's what I was only used for. I see. My parents first abandoned me just because they had a girl now adopted into their family. And now, Rias Gremory and the others just decided to abandon me. Or mostly Rias. I see. This is where, well, he looks to the side of himself just to see 8 pawn pieces. This is where, well, he just decided to let them float into the darkness of the abyss, when he actually makes a portal for himself. This is where, well, he makes a portal using his soul magic, because you see here, he has his soul magic awakened. His soul magic looks like this. So this is how Issei's soul magic looks like, or mostly his soul. His soul trait is that of intellect and also that of the abyss. So of course, he just kind of became similar to that of WD Gaster. Don't worry about it, but yeah. This is where, well, mostly Issei has his soul that looks like this. But this is where, well, when he walks out of, well, mostly the abyss, he's no longer in his distorted form, and instead he's now looking like, well, mostly like this. So yeah, he looks like this. His distorted form was much more palish white, He kind of looks like a skeleton, kind of palish white, melting a little bit, but now he looks like this. Yeah, this is how he's truly gonna look like. But one thing is for sure, he has his eyes closed permanently, and he's no longer going to be talking in normal language. He's actually going to be talking in sign language, that of moving his hands, or that in the same kind of similar way of, what was that fucking name called? Where Gaster talks in just like these symbols. When did I can't remember. Whatever. But this is where, well, mostly Issei might be talking to that language also. But this is where, well, when Issei is actually out of the dimension called Void, he actually has a connection to the Void and will be awesome in the near future. Well, I'm going to probably have a mastery over the power of the Void. Don't worry about it. But this is where, well, Issei walks out of that place and we go into mostly a time skip. A time skip of Issei actually, well, going back to school. But not for any social reasons he's going back to school. He instead is going back to school for, well, his education. He might have been in the, what's it called? He might have been in the, what's it called? Void / abyss world dimension for a while, and he might have become dumber, but that's not the case. He got the same, mostly intellect as mostly W.D. Gaster. His just knowledge and other things. He might be isolated, similar to that W.D. Gaster's kind of personality, but yeah. But don't mistake him. He might be looking fragile and weak, but he's not weak. He might have actually also grown mostly to be like 6 feet, and actually kind of looks like lean, muscular. But don't worry about that neither. This is where, well, Issei, he is actually having his eyes closed permanently, but yeah, I already mentioned that. But this is where, well, we go into mostly Issei kind of going to school. Like I said, he's not doing this for the social actives, mostly the education part. So, of course, when he gets back to school, he actually started changing. Literally changing in that whole entire week. That week that he just kind of came back. He didn't get bothered by the others or anyone at all because no one was actually seeing his changes until they realized after mostly on Friday that Issei has been changing entirely. You see here, he's been doing more work and more kind of, well, learning and like work in his classes like language arts, probably it's Japanese language arts, who cares right now, language arts, mathematics, history, what's it called, science / chemistry, and the other 3 classes that he has that is, well, art, and what's it called, gym, and, well, the last one is robotics. He's been actually trying robotics. He's been actually creating the same machinery robots that he actually has imagined and kind of thought about and how they will work. But the 2 classes that he does not fucking try and does not care no more about is gym and art. Entirely, the only reason why he got gym is because it was somewhat an important thing for everyone to have. And art was just random. But art wasn't just random. It was actually, well, it wasn't needed. It was just because mostly Issei got it in the beginning because it was close to the kennel club. But later on, he's actually been kind of talking to the student, well, not student council, the counselor for the school, the counselor. This where, well, he barely talks, but this where, well, luckily the counselor knows sign language because when Issei walks in, he was actually talking in sign language. This where, well, the counselor nodded and seeing what Issei wanted. She didn't actually understand why he was doing this. Of course, she didn't even know if mostly if she does the same sign language, Issei would understand. But it looks like Issei would actually understand, even though you can barely see his eyes. But this is where, well, mostly the 2 classes that he changed those 2 classes out was gym was actually changed for law class, basically to learn about like the, well, laws of like Japan and other stuff, which mostly impressed the counselor. And, well, mostly art class was actually changed to coding. But yeah, coding was a very interesting thing because it was actually a very high up class that mostly some seniors would get, but not much. And seeing a second year wanted to get it, she was surprised, but she decided to let him have it. Because she sees Issei's grades, at the same time his social life went down. Like, really far down. which confused her a lot because Issei is not the type of person to just drop his entire social life. But all she can understand is Issei might have done that just so he didn't need to get what you call bother with his education. That's the only thing that she can think of. That or maybe like something happened with his family. And if something did happen with his family, then she might have to call Child Protective Service on, well, Issei's family. But she doesn't know much about what exactly happened because Issei didn't really talk about it in his sign languages. And neither did he even talk at all. He just looked at her straight, not looking at her chest or any of that because his eyes were literally closed. They were shut tight. She didn't even know how he even see her. But yeah. And the counselor isn't some old lady. She is kind of a beautiful young woman in her kind of like late 20s. She's like in her 27. But yeah. But yeah, she was just so shocked to see Issei act more mature than any of the other students. He was acting so mature, but yet at the same time, he had such a cold feeling to him. Like his skin. Fuck! Ah, fucking hell. Like his aura around him was so pitch black that mostly anyone that actually had any sensory to the supernatural would actually sense Issei's aura being different. From a normal human to something that should probably not be actually talked about or even go near him. But yeah. But Issei, he is just completely different. He's completely different from everyone. Entirely, she would question him, but she didn't really want to be rude, so of course just let him be like that. That's where, well, we go into mostly a time skip of Issei and getting those two classes. Now, for the whole day, he does go to mostly his classes. He does go to gym and art, even though he actually ditched those two classes for this entire week because entirely he didn't really want to deal with them. And when the gym teacher did ask Issei to actually practice and even ask where he had been, Issei just kind of handed him a paper saying that pretty much it's just a sign here to get me the fuck out of your class. Well, in the nicest possible way. Which the gym teacher right now said, yeah, I'm not letting you do that because this is where, well, mostly he had to change his mind real quick because Issei's aura was kind of deadly enough to make him feel frozen. Because, well, yeah. But of course the teacher just signed it, and of course Issei went on his merry way towards his art class. The art teacher saw that Issei was actually taking coding instead of art, which the art teacher didn't really mind and actually signed it because, well, at least he's chill. But yeah, he didn't understand why Issei was also changing gym class for law class. Well, I mean, it's quite a very productive thing to do, but usually students won't do that until like their third year. Issei's the second year and yet he's doing that way too off early. It's like he's taking every class that seems difficult enough and then he just takes on to learn, and yeah. Also, I should mention that most of his other classes like language arts, what's it called? Language arts, mathematics, what's it called? History and science/chemistry. Well, mostly he kind of already kind of like passed the test that showed that he was already smarter than the second year. So of course he decides to kind of get something called AP classes, which are kind of preparing him for college, but entirely he ain't going to college. Not maybe not. He doesn't really know for right now. But of course he's taking on those classes. So of course he had to just switch his classes to third year classes. But none of the classes actually have Rias in them or even Akano. Well, he has Sono in some of those classes and even Tabaki. But of course he would switch to those classes. Now of course while Issei has just been kind of studying and ignoring everyone, even some of the second years were shocked to hear that Issei's mostly second year classes for mostly how he has to be with the other second years has actually moved out and went into the third year classes. Which the third years are kind of shocked to see a second year right now kind of beating their ass and just being smarter than them. Of course, this is where Issei would also take the test, but right now he needs to kind of build up knowledge of like what's happening in the AP class. Which entirely the teacher for language arts is actually someone named, well, Esdef. She has kind of bluish icy hair and like bluish icy eyes. And of course she actually is very cold to anyone who like seems to be not smart or whatever. Like, why would you take this like AP class or whatever? This is where, well, she never her eyes coldly at Issei, because Issei had his eyes closed most of the time. And of course, where, well, she would talk to him, but then realized that she needed to get the counselor, not the student council, but the counselor for the sign language that she really does not understand, and really does not understand. She's a language art teacher. She's not a fucking mostly sign language art teacher, which she was confused. But the counselor explained what exactly Issei is saying, and of course, mostly Issei might be talking in language, well, mostly sign language for a while, because she can't actually force him to even speak just normal Japanese. It's difficult. She tried it once, which Issei just said nothing. He just nodded. He either just used motions or whatever. Mostly his body motions. He doesn't even use or open his eyes. So you can't even directly see what's behind his eye. Well, close eyelids. But yeah. This is where, well, Esther sighs and says, I see. Fine. I understand. God damn it. This is gonna be more difficult teaching this kid. How is he able going to see me teach? The counselor says, good question. I have no clue. I actually have no clue even how he even passed the other class. Entirely, they saw him do the test, finish it, and this is where, well, the counselor whispered into SF's ear saying, and there was no magic considered by it. There was no magic illusion or anything. It looks like this kid is just a genius and just using his instincts to answer. I see. Estef knows about the supernatural, even the counselor, which mostly, yeah, that's a thing. And if Issei does have special eyes that he is hiding right now, well, they won't be able to unlock it because his eyes are closed, shut tight. This is where, well, mostly Issei tilts his head, of course hearing all this, but this is where Issei is just going to act blissfully, just ignoring all this, even though he knows what they're talking about. But yeah, but of course we go into mostly a time skip from that class to the other classes. Mathematics is a teacher who kind of looks like this, or mostly not looks like this. So this is how the mathematics teacher for AP kind of looks like for 30 years, and her name is Miss Missouri. Missouri, yeah, fuck it. So of course, the mathematics teacher just decided to do a very hard problem on the board for Issei to see if he will answer it correctly. And entirely he did answer it correctly enough. It wasn't a very hard question, but entirely it was difficult. And this is where, well, he still answered, and this is where the teacher says, I see. Good to know. You are quite smart. The counselor says, you don't need me to kind of like translate any sign languages. Missouri kind of just says, not entirely. I know sign languages because I had a mostly deaf uncle one time, and I usually had to translate it, so I'll be fine. This kid isn't deaf, is he? Not entirely. He just has his eyes closed most of the time and knows sign language and actually knows what you're saying. I see. What an interesting kind of kid. Whatever. He's okay to join my class. This is where, well, we'll see the math teacher went back to the board and to solve something very hard and difficult. This is where Issei took a chalkboard and right now just draw out mostly the problem and seeing how he solved it. He solved this really easily, and this is where, well, she says, okay, well, he's way too smart for my class, but I want to know if I can still teach him. This is where, well, we'll see, what's it called? The counselor nodded and says, good to know. This is where, well, mostly she takes Issei's arm and goes off to the next class. This is Missouri kind of grins and saying, wow, what an interesting kid. I wonder whose other class she's going to be in. This is where, well, she takes the, well, mostly paper that mostly the counselor left behind to see his schedule, and this is where, well, first hour is going to be SF class, so Miss SF for mostly language arts, AP. This is where her second class is the mathematics. The third class is mostly someone who is for mostly history, and we go into the history teacher right now. the history teacher is right now kind of just like, was kind of like trying to base off of what kind of history that she can actually teach the next student. To make it difficult, she doesn't actually keep on track on what to teach. She always kind of mix and match it with different classes because, well, she doesn't want the same class to actually give the note to the other class or whatever. But yeah. So mostly the next teacher just looked like this, and this is where, well, her name is Miss Jinker, and this is where, well, Jinker kind of just says, oh, I see. Understandable. This is where, well, she kind of just tries to think of something difficult for mostly the second year to understand of history. And this is where, well, she decides to kind of base it off on mostly like a very couple of years ago. Well, not years ago, mostly like a century ago, about the Egyptians. And this is where Issei already kind of pinpoint and how mostly a very detailed but somewhat short summary about mostly the Egyptians. And this is where, well, mostly Jinker says, I see. He can come to my class then. I don't mind. So this is the kind of science and chemistry teacher. Her name is Suki, and this is where, well, Miss Suki. And this is where, well, she says that mostly it's very interesting to teach Issei. Because mostly she did testament on like science and chemistry stuff. And of course, well, he's pretty good. Kinda. Well, he accidentally exploded his face with a chemical that he accidentally touched that was the wrong one. This is where, well, mostly Suki kinda giggles, but of course, luckily the chemical wasn't dangerous. And even if it was, it probably wouldn't even affect Issei. Because she noticed that he's an anomaly. He's way too smart for being a second year. He always has his eyes closed, and somehow he's still able to see even with his eyes closed and grab stuff. And of course, he does sign language for communication, which Suki doesn't really mind. She knows about sign language. But yeah, this is where, well, the next teachers who are mostly the next kind of what's it called teachers are the law teacher and what's it called the coding teacher. The law teacher is a male teacher who is known as, well, Mr. So the law teacher is named Mr. Akabas, a guy with reddish hair and kind of yellowish golden eyes, who usually is quite tricky and manipulative. Sometimes, of course, he tries to trick Issei into kind of incriminating himself. But luckily, Issei, with sign language, he managed to not incriminate himself, because he just said that in sign language he voted the fit, because fuck you. But yeah. Which Mr. Akabas was just grinning, just seeing that Issei knows a bit of the laws. But yeah, I know the Fit Amendment is actually, or invoke the Fit is in America, but fuck off, I don't really know anything about the Japanese laws, okay? But of course, then there's Hazuka, coding teacher, and her name is Sakachara. Her, what this she looks like. But yeah, she's kind of always smoking, which mostly Issei would actually grab, like, mostly some tissue to just cover his nose up. While mostly the counselor, who is kind of always with Issei, to do any sign languages, well, translate, will kind of just be telling Sakura to stop smoking right in front of a child. This is Sakura says, fine, whatever. She kind of says, listen up, brat. If you don't have the skills to code, then you should probably fuck off. That's where Issei kind of, does sign language. And of course, this is where Counselor was about to say, and this is where, well, Sakura says, I see, so you're basically going to robotics. And wait, you already have robotics, but you want to go into the higher levels and kind of do your own coding. Okay. I guess, sure. But don't try to fall behind, brat. This is where, well, Issei just kind of does sign language again. And this is where, well, she nodded. This is where, well, she knows that Issei's eyes are closed shut, even though she doesn't give a damn, but whatever. This is where, well, let's say Counselor sighs and say, well, I think you already know your robotics teacher, since you're going to the second level of robotics, even though, or mostly AP class, you do realize that. This is where Issei nodded. This is where Issei walks away, but yeah, because it was already the 7th, mostly he was going throughout the day with mostly the counselor, but yeah, because his whole class kind of setup just changed, but yeah. This is where Sakura kind of grabs another cigarette and was about to light it up until mostly the counselor kind of grabs it and says, "God damn it, stop smoking, Sakura." This is where Sakura says, fine, whatever. Whatever. Tell me, why is that brat has his eyes closed and why is he only using sign language? I don't know. This is where the counselor said, I literally do not know. Also, I shouldn't mention that the counselor's name is Ayame. And this is where she said, I don't know why. He has his eyes closed for some reason. I tried talking to him normally in English. Of course, it looks like he understands he's not deaf, but at the same time, he just doesn't show his eyes. I don't even know how he even can see. And, yeah, it's just very interesting. So he's not blind, is he? No, because he can walk perfectly fine without smashing into people. Then again, he has a very cold personality to anyone, and literally has no social life. That is the perverted brat, right? Isn't he? Isn't he the one of the infamous? Well, how should I say this? Infamous perverts of the school, right? Issei Hyodo. Yes. Problem is, his last name isn't Hyodo no more. Then what the fuck is it? Gaster. Gaster? What the fuck? Can you not cuss? Ayame kind of asked Sakura. Sakura says, I don't give a damn. You're telling me his last name is no longer Issei. I mean, not Issei, Hyodo. Yes, I don't know why, and he really tried to talk to the kid, even call his parents. Problem is, he probably switched out his like phone number, or probably his parents switched into a different phone number. I don't know why, and I have no clue why. Well, this is going to be such an interesting year. The kid, how did he even pass the other test for his second year? That is a great question. Have no clue. It wasn't anything supernatural related. He just passed, okay? Okay. So tell me, is all his classes, well, mostly all his other teachers females? No, 2 of them are males. And which one is that? Akabas? Well, Mr. Akabas for the law class? So he's taking law. What the fuck is he going to do with the law? Don't know. I mean, he could probably become a lawyer, coding, and other shit. That's all I must say. Huh. I made you cuss. Shut up already. This is stressful, okay? Let's see where, second says, okay. Then, what is the other one? Mr. Johnson, he's an American teacher who does robotics. Of course. I should have known. Wait, isn't there another AP teacher for robotics? Yes, but he didn't pick her just because he is okay with Mr. Johnson. He even said that Mr. Johnson was pretty good, like in sign language, and also kind of did talk once, and his voice is a little bit, well, not even talking, but once. What am I talking about? I almost said. He doesn't even talk. He literally is quiet. And even if I ask Mr. Johnson to talk to him and actually be in the same room with him, it's not happening. I think the only person that he ever talks to is actually Mr. Johnson. Even though he's a foreigner, and yet he's a computer tech teacher, someone for robotics, AP. He is literally the probably only person that probably has a connection with Issei. What the? Sakura says he has 0 social life. If he's literally talking to a teacher, what the fuck? What about his friends, his 2 perverted friends, Matsuda and Murahama? Sakura said. Have no clue. They tried to talk to Issei, but Issei ignored everyone. He's literally like a phantom, ignoring every single person. That doesn't seem important to him, except for education. Wow, that kid has 0 social life. Wasn't he kind of social? I mean, he was perverted, but now he changed into a very quiet, depressing kid. I don't know, kid. I mean, check it out. Just give me a headache. The kid wasn't too much of a problem. He didn't talk loud or anything, but just the way he acts and moves and everything, it's just a headache to me. I see. Well, we should probably, or I should probably go back to smoking a cigarette while you also get a cigarette. I'm gonna say, don't you dare give me those cancer sticks. This is where, well, Sakura says, they're not cancer sticks. They're cigarettes. Fuck off. Oh my god, I made you cuss again. This is where this time a chair smashes into Sakura's face. Ow! Well, not Sakura, but Sakuri, or Saki, whatever. Don't worry about it. This is where, well, mostly she said, ow, what was that for? This is where, well, mostly Ayame says, screw you. this is where, well, we'll see Saya kind of just like, I'm gonna make her one day kind of smoke a cigarette with me. This is where, well, mostly the other teachers, because they're all close to each other, the AP teachers, heard mostly Ayami say, screw you, really loud. This is where, well, they were confused. Until they probably think of the, what's it called, coding teacher. She does smoke a lot of cigarettes. They don't even know how the students aren't dead. But yeah. This is where, well, we go into a time skip of Issei going to Mr. Johnson's class. He seems to have a very happy tune going to Mr. Johnson's class. Because pretty much, he likes robotics, he likes having Mr. Johnson. Pretty much it's a win-win-win, whatever. And he also knows that the AP classes doesn't have much students, so he can basically be sitting in the very far back while anyone bothering him at all. This is where, well, Issei kind of is going to his class. Or Mr. Johnson's class, but yeah. This is where, well, we go into a time skip when he gets there. Of course, this is where, when he was about to kind of walk in the classroom, this is where, well, mostly two people rushed towards him and tried to tackle him. And that was mostly both Matsuda and Murahama. They actually wanted to know what happened to their old, well, mostly their friend, and why he stopped talking to them, and why he's no longer a pervert, and what's with these class changing. This is where bullshit, this is where they tried to tackle him, but this is where Issei opens the door real fast and closes it. This is where they slide past and smash into the fucking door. Well, the exit door. Bing! This is where, well, mostly Issei, he knew exactly they were rushing at him, but he didn't care. He went there real fast and smooth. Just open the door, slide through it, and yeah, you get the point. Or not even slide through it, just walk through it. This is where, well, mostly Issei just waves his hand at Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson just kind of waves it also, and yeah. This is where, well, we go into mostly a time skip of mostly after class. The third years are so fucking confused in how Issei is in here in AP robotics. But yeah, they're just like, what the fuck? What the hell is he doing here? But yeah. But we go into mostly Issei kind of getting out of, well, he was supposed to get out of school, but this is where Sona actually kind of noticed him, and of course, she actually noticed Issei's attitude changing for this entire week. She also noticed that pretty much his classes are different. She got notified with this, and she was confused. She thought there was another Issei who was smarter than this Issei. But Issei noticed her presence and just kind of glanced at him, which Issei walks up to her, and instead of just talking normal language, sign language. Sona, she knew how to do sign language, but she was just so fucking confused. Why? Because Issei is the type of person that never does sign language. And if he does, then there might be a problem here. He either went deaf or blind. Which, she's going with deaf part. But this is where, well, she decides to say hello, which Issei said hello again. And this is where, well, Sona realized now that he can hear. Just one problem. Is he blind, and how is he doing these sign languages? This is where, well, mostly Sona is trying to figure it all out, but she is getting a headache. Of course, where, well, she's interested in the fact that Issei's taking his mostly education for school much serious than before. But this is where, well, he's taking his social life and kind of throwing it out the window. Yeah, Issei is not the socialist person ever. He is quite literally the opposite. Very opposite. But yeah. Other than that, we go from that POV to mostly, well, leaving out of school. But before Issei can leave out of school, like 5 dudes try to attack him, but they never could hit him. Like, all of them tried to hit him, but nah. Issei dodged so easily, effortlessly. This is where, well, mostly Issei then actually kind of didn't kick any of them, didn't punch any of them, just walked past him and made them tremble at the fear of the fact that Issei easily dodged him. It just fucking walked past him. Like, what the fuck? He picked the option not to fight, but yeah. Which was interesting and crazy. But yeah. But of course, we go into a time skip of Issei going to his apartment. And yes, he lives in an apartment, it's not a house. Because entirely, he's still trying to make money. And of course, trying to, well, live on his own. Since he doesn't have friends and he doesn't have family to kind of rely upon. But other than that, we go into Issei. But this is where, well, we go into mostly after Issei kind of trying to get home. This is where, oh, he yawns. Of course, he does make breakfast for himself. He actually learned how to do that. He does a lot of things because he actually can make clones and actually learn things real fast. But instead, he actually rather do it himself. He also does physically train somewhat in the void dimension because he can make a portal to it. But yeah. Then after that, he just goes to sleep. But yeah, well, studies, then goes to sleep. But yeah, this is where, well, we'll see. We go into the next day. Well, next couple of days, which mostly Issei has been changing so much in, like, we'll see, 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks. Another week passed, but not another week. Another weekend passed. But Issei goes to school on Monday, and this is where, well, someone there tried to block his way, and that was a bunch of girls who are kind of, in anime terms, are known as, well, say, in anime terms, they're known as Gyaru, and this where, well, they were just kind of having a bit of innocence to them, but this is where, well, when they tried to talk to Issei to try to provoke him to see if he's still a pervert, Issei completely ignored him. He literally walked past him, which surprised everyone like hell. Of course, there was another person that blocked this way, her name was Junko Nishima, but Issei also ignored her, even when she tried to tease him. Yeah, Issei is a complete, somewhat menace. This is where, well, when Issei completely walked away, he was kind of, well, going to his next class. But we go into a time skip one day in school that that Sona was actually about to get attacked by a fallen angel with 4 pairs of wings. Before the mostly 4-pair winged angel tries to make a light spear and tries to attack Sona, that light spear was about to hit Sona, and Sona's death was actually about to appear. Now, the students and even faculty even saw this, and yes, they know about the supernatural somewhat. This is where, well, before the light spear can even hit Sona, someone grabbed that shit in an instant. Literally just grabs it and just shatter it in his hands. And it was none other than Issei. Issei, with just a look of uncaring, looks back up to see the fallen angel, and the fallen angel was shocked. Sona was also shocked, and everyone else is shocked. Issei opens one of his eyes. His right eye, which has a color of like purple, light purple and dark purple, and also it kind of looks very crystallized. This is where, well, Issei opens it, and this is where, well, it is quite a majestic sight to see. But yeah. So it kind of looked like this when he opened his eye. Not this one, just with his right eye. Looked like that color, somewhat. This is where, when he does that, this is where, well, what's called 7 hands actually appear behind him, and they're the hands similar to Gaster, like this. So it's like 7 different hands: green, red, yellow, orange, blue, cyan, and purple. When all those hands appear, this is where, well, Issei kind of just used a bluish color, using the blue magic to actually kind of grab the fallen angel's soul, mostly his soul heart, and actually smash him down to the ground. Which it was so easy. Like, Issei barely even used any much power. He didn't even need to use that much power. Also, his magical power has kind of surpassed the gods entirely. But yeah. But with Issei kind of doing that, this is where, well, Issei says pathetic. This is where, well, he actually said that out loud, and of course goes up to the fallen angel and talks for the first time. Which everyone is hearing this, even with Sona and the fallen angel. Now, the fallen angel has been in this school for a while. She's just been able to kind of keep her kind of auras hidden. But this is where she realized that Issei was no normal human, and he kept a better aura than her. Which was, well, this was very much more shocking. This is where, well, Issei says, so tell me, fallen angel, why did you attack Sona? And if you don't tell me fast enough, I might have to obliterate you from existence. This is where making the fallen angel shocked and scared and very nervous with Issei. This is where the fallen angel tries to think of something, but she can't. This is where Issei then turns back around to talk to Sona in a much lighter tone and tell her to see if what she's going to do with the fallen angel. Mostly both the fallen angel and Sona managed to come to agreement and actually managed to kind of make a deal so it won't destroy their relation faction with the fallen angel or devils, yeah. Even though there's like a peace tree in there, but yeah, somewhat. But other than that, Issei decides to walk away and did not care at all. He literally just summoned his mostly hands, closed his eyes, and walk very quietly like a phantom away. But yeah. But for right now, I'm going to have to end it off here because I'm getting really, really, really tired. Other than that, good night, bye, and yeah.